Cincinnati versus Utah. Cincinnati number 12 in the AQR versus Utah, who's number 18. The spread on this game has moved significantly. Now it's minus 10.5 Utah. Over-unders 54.5. Kind of want to talk through some of this with you. Big time Big 12 matchup. Looks like there's probably going to be another one next week with Texas Tech versus BYU. So yeah, I want to talk through this a little bit. I know you pulled that up.
Yeah.
Walk me through this.
Yeah, so for those who are just joining for this part, this is our scouting report, which we do every week for every game. What we're really trying to highlight here is offense versus defense. This is kind of not exactly the same, but very similar to how we're looking at OU Tennessee. This is a Utah defense versus a Cincinnati offense. And you said the line was 10.5 Utah?
10.5 Utah.
I'm a little surprised by that from the standpoint of, look, Cincinnati went against a Baylor team last week. Not the best defense, but they put up 41, won by about 21, I believe. I'm surprised that it's Utah 10.5. I would think this matchup would be a little more close. I know the altitude can sometimes be a factor for some of these Southern Big 12 teams going out to Utah. But look, I think this is a more evenly ranked matchup than not. I think that Cincinnati's going to be able to move the ball down the field. I think that Sorsby's a great quarterback. I think he makes smart decision making. And I'm not necessarily sure if Utah's defense is going to be able to stop all of Cincinnati's offensive efficiencies. Anything in particular you want me to focus on here?
Yeah, no, I mean, you kind of hit on it, but Brendan Sorsby has been playing phenomenal. He's kind of protected the ball, managed games well, and made a lot of plays. I think he has kind of been playing himself into higher and higher rounds, or I guess lower and lower rounds, depending on how you look at it. But kind of to be a higher draft pick than what a lot of people were thinking. He has the arm strength. He's been more and more accurate. If you want to pull up Brendan Sorsby, let's look at him just a little bit and his progression. Talk me through kind of what you're seeing with him.
I mean, highly efficient quarterback, one of the best passers in the NCAA this year. And when I say passing, separating out any of his ability to run the ball, but just looking at, when he's throwing the ball, is it accurate? And I mean, he had actually a perfect game of accuracy against Northwestern State. Now, take that as you will. But that's kind of his trend all season. He's not going to get you the most yards of any passing quarterback, but what he does is make very, very smart plays. 19 touchdowns to 1 interception this year, one of the highest throwing IQs in the Big 12, and really one of the highest throwing IQs in the NCAA, sitting around the 87th percentile. So he doesn't make dumb decisions. He knows, how to read options. He knows how to, read different coverage types. He protects the ball. So I think that that's going to be a highlight for this matchup is, whether he's able to continue that trend. And then the secondary item is under pressure, still a great quarterback, 85 percentile in pressure passes. So when the defense is blitzing or when they're providing pressure to the quarterback, he's still accurate. He still has the same routine that he goes through, second and third look and getting the ball to the best possible receiving option. So I'm a little bit, again, surprised by this spread, by the line, because I think that Sorsby's a great quarterback. Very good pro-style quarterback. So, any other thoughts here that you want me to
pull up field view on him. Let's kind of look a little bit at where he's going around, where he's throwing the ball, the kind of shots they're taking. Kind of talk me through this. I mean, you can kind of see it looks like he's most of the time kind of short, middle, and takes some deep shots. But talk us through that.
Yeah, so what this is really looking at here is the field view basically dissects 4 different quadrants of the field. So we're going to talk about deep left, which is balls that are thrown to the left side of the field, 20 yards down the line. We can talk about behind line of scrimmage, which is just any play that happens behind the line of scrimmage. Think screen passes. Short is in that 0 to 10 yard range, and medium's in that 10 to 20 yard range. So where Sorsby is getting most of his yardage, which is fairly common, is in the short center. So a lot of those cut routes, post routes. But he also gets a chunk of his yardage on these deep balls. And so when you look at that and look at how he performs, he's able to kind of manage the field however he wants to based on the different coverages. This is just showing how many yards he gets on each of the different points on the field. I'd rather look at QBR, which is his performance across the field, and it kind of shows a similar story. He's still a very efficient quarterback on the left and center points of the field positionally, but it doesn't really, he's pretty agnostic to the depth of the field. So he's able to break different coverages, look for that next second, third good passing option, and actually make the play. So I think he's a very complete quarterback. He's shown that kind of throughout the year. And so I would be surprised if there is any different story this year in terms of, what he's able to do against Utah.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I think one of the big keys of this game is going to be whether Cincinnati can kind of get some running game, get some chunk yardage on the ground, and kind of open up the play action fakes and things like that, so that he can take those deep shots, because he's incredibly accurate all around the field, especially on those deep balls. But that could be kind of where Cincinnati can make up some ground, is those deep balls and that deep threat. So I'm excited to watch this game. I agree with you. I don't know why the line actually started at 7.5 for Utah and has moved to 10.5 now. Yeah. But I think Cincinnati's got a great team, and I'm excited to watch this one as well.
Yeah, is there anything you want to hit on Utah before?
Let's look kind of Utah. Kind of where's the majority of their offense coming from? I know Devin Dampier's kind of been hit or miss in terms of injury wise, but let's kind of look at majority of their offense and all of that.
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and look at their Colorado game last week? I think that's a great example of where their offense is coming from. So let me go ahead and get to that game, and we'll take a look at what happened there. Great. So here's an example. I think one of the things that really highlights, take away all the players. How did Utah get 53 points last week? It's because they had 7 scoring opportunities that resulted in 30 points. And when I talk about a scoring opportunity here, what I'm talking about is when the ball is past the 40-yard line of the opposition, are they able to convert points? So that could be a field goal, that could be a touchdown. It doesn't really matter. It's agnostic to that. But when they're past the 40-yard line, are they scoring points? And Utah was able to convert, 7 of these opportunities into 30 points, averaging about 4.29 yards per scoring opportunity. So they were really able to control that portion of the field and continue to drive down the field, make efficient plays, get touchdowns or field goals. So that's kind of the main story of, Utah's offense, is just their efficiency and their ability to get the ball down the field and maintain drives and continue to push. No turnovers. Really owned the time of possession last week. 587 total yards, 422 rushing yards. So putting the ball on the ground. And
obviously, when you only give up 7 points, defense is playing phenomenally.
Yes.
Even if it's a team that isn't having as good a year at like Colorado. I fully agree with you there.
Yeah, and we're seeing the emergence of a new dual threat quarterback in the NCAA. With Bird. He's playing a couple games this year, kind of at the end with garbage time, but really showed his prowess last week. Only threw for 140 yards to the air, not super accurate, but overall pretty good game. The reason these headline grades right now, just for some context, say NA is because we want to ensure the percentiles and the grades assigned to quarterbacks hit a minimum threshold. So if he plays this game and after this game, he'll definitely have some percentiles that we could take a closer look at. But look, just overall, emergence of a new dual threat quarterback, 160 yards on the ground, 140 yards to the air. Overall, really good game from him.
It'll be interesting to see, because I know there's been some reporting back and forth on whether Devin Dampier will start this game or will be available for this game. So it'll be interesting to see, because I think, obviously Bird had a great game, but having Devin Dampier kind of more of a senior leader out there might be a big help for Utah.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
All right.
Awesome.